I really found it interesting how you kind of compared the experience to your extremely tough and, you know, strict regime on Disney.
So I wouldn't say that Disney has anything to do with the way that the business is set up. I think that Hollywood kind of crafts a very competitive environment. And I think I mentioned that in my interrogation. And, you have to be the best and you have to be uncomfortable. And I know that DS Billy has been, asked about why child actors like a Jojo Siwa or anyone else could really fight through this course. And I think that when you have that mental resilience, in addition to the athleticism, which I lack a lot of, it's really kind of it's going to take you to the next day and the next moment, because you're competitive with yourself. You're truly resilient when you can look at yourself and say, you know what, I can do better. I can keep going. I have a why. You got to be really in touch with your why.
You said on the show that it didn't really have like an infrastructure like Hollywood or Disney, or like it didn't really have like an infrastructure put in place to make people feel like that they didn't have to be competitive against one another. Did you feel that like you were being pitted against a certain actress at that point in time, or was it just like you said, competitive against yourself?
I think that sometimes networks tend to, celebrate certain wins of certain shows. So it's like, you want to be excited, but you also feel competitive because you're representing your show and your community. It's a tribal thing. And when you're young, I don't think you have enough ironic distance from your successes versus everyone else's. So, I just think that's hard to explain to a young person. And then I think you get stuck in a habit of comparison. And so when you're doing something like this for a person like me, who's always really wanted and craved community, I really thrived amongst all the other recruits and felt like I was, people were compassionate to me and I could be compassionate back. And it was really good for me.
Your time on Disney would have really helped, like in a situation like this, like having that community and being a part of a team and working towards that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that networks have started to do more mental health training for the new batch of young actor recruits, I guess you could call them. And I think that they really do try to have these pilot programs at trying to help them. And I wish them well. This is not an easy task, I mean, this is a many decades of an industry that has overlooked this element. So it's fantastic that it's a part of the conversation. Clearly, I've been advocating for this for a while. And I'm just going to keep taking it one day at a time. And happy that, I got the word out.
You said after Quiet on Set came out that you wouldn't be watching the documentary.
Ugh,
Have you yet?
I have not watched the Quiet on Set documentary. I have no interest in watching it. I feel like there's a lot of, here's the thing. Okay. I don't really feel like I need to watch it because I've lived portions of this and I know a lot of people affected by the documentary. So I don't see why I would watch a show when I can actually go to my friends or my community and say, hey, are you okay? So that's kind of why I felt like in the end, I didn't really need to watch it. And also, too, like when I advocate, I'm doing it on my terms and not because people are calling me out or, telling me I need to do this and this. I personally am holding space for everybody in that documentary. But at the same time, like I'm not gonna just say that I feel, like completely kindred to documentarians who aren't necessarily part of the community itself.
Definitely, fair enough. Going back to Special Forces, you were very vulnerable and opened up about your relationship with your mum during your career and how you asked her to step down. How is your relationship with your mum now? And do you have any regrets or about that time when you kind of open up that box again on Special Forces?
So my mom's coming over tonight to watch tonight's episode. I'm a little worried because, I didn't explain to her that she came up in my interrogation. I think so much happened after my interrogation that I just completely forgot about it. But I did send her a snippet that they sent me, and she and I think we'll talk. I think she'll be okay. My mom is more resilient than me. I think I got that from her. And I love my mom. I take care of my mom. She knows that we're good. And, there's a lot of healing that I think will take place when we watch the show together. It's going to be awkward.
It's gonna be slightly awkward. But over the years, you guys have formed your relationship kind of back, and then now it's
Totally.
opening up. Yeah.
Yes. You know, my mom is my biggest fan. She always will be. And she knows I love her. And I think she's really proud of what I did on the show. I don't think that me mentioning her in my interrogation is going to affect how proud she is of me doing this. And she's just that kind of person. You know, it's like when I got out of the coffin and I told Kyla, you know, I still love you, because that was coming from a piece of me that is just like my mom. That's just who we are.
Um, Also, you open up about your alcohol addiction. What do you hope opening up about that on such a big platform like Special Forces? You've done it on your podcast, like you've, what do you hope others will take from a similar situation?
Gosh, you know, we're currently in dry January. We're at the end of dry January, which is super important to a lot of people who may have attempted dry January as a joke and are now realizing that they have a certain dependency on alcohol. And what I would encourage those people, if they're seeing themselves in me or if they are inspired by my story, is to just go one more month, you know, just keep trying and then keep trying and keep trying. Because a lot of my friends who are now sober, even just from alcohol, right? It's like, okay, well, let me just one day at a time, and then you stack those days. So that's what I would encourage. And I am really proud of my sobriety. I'm proud of the fact that it's been this many years, and it's just I haven't cracked, and it's not something I intend to crack with. And I love the person that I'm becoming.
It's also incredibly impressive doing it in the public eye. How do you feel like fans have interacted with you since you first spoke out about it in 2021?
I think that mental health is a much more inclusive conversation when people are saying, you know, I grew up with you, you were Little Miss Perfect, and I looked up to you. And, you know, at first I was very worried about this, but I think I was one of the first people to go on YouTube, start a channel, and just be myself with when it comes to like the Disney kids, you know? And so people were kind of like, whoa, this is disruptive. She's not the person I thought she was. But when we move past that, we can see that like we're all human. And at 40 years old, like I'm not worried anymore. I think one of the things Special Forces did for me was to stop worrying about being liked so much and know that I'm just me, and that that's enough for the people that are meant to be in my life.